Chosen woman, there's something you need to know about his heart. Many times you look at the silence, at the distance, and think it's over, that he doesn't feel anything anymore, that he's already moved on. But there are invisible actions, gestures that no one sees, but that reveal much more than words could ever say. And this morning, he gave one of those signs. While you went about your routine, he picked up his phone. He unlocked the screen like someone who doesn't want anything, but deep down, he knew exactly what he was about to do. His mind was wandering, but his heart had already chosen the destination, you. He started writing a message, not just any message, but something that, if it had reached you, would have had the power to break the silence that weighs so heavily between you two. He wrote because his heart spoke louder. He typed because the memory was stronger than the resistance. Each word was like a reflection of everything he tries to hide from himself. But at the last moment, he stopped. Fear took over. Pride screamed. And then he deleted everything. He put the phone away, as if nothing had happened. But you and I know, it did happen. Because someone who feels nothing doesn't write. Someone who no longer carries anything inside doesn't waste time trying to express themselves. This movement reveals the invisible impact you still have on him. It's as if your presence is still engraved in his heart, even from a distance. He may not admit it, but this morning the proof appeared before his very eyes. Chosen woman, I know you've thought many times that he's forgotten. But what he did shows the opposite. If there was no more love, there wouldn't be this hesitation. If there was no more connection, there wouldn't be any message to delete. His gesture wasn't emptiness. It was a silent confession, a reflection of a feeling that insists on remaining. And you know what this shows? That God continues to move the pieces of this story. The Lord allows certain details to happen not to confuse you, but to remind you that there's still a greater purpose. This morning's gesture wasn't just about a phone and some deleted words. It was about a heart that still fights against what it feels, but can't erase the truth. You're still there, alive inside him. This detail may seem small, but it's actually a huge sign. Because when the heart insists on speaking, it's because there's something that neither time, nor distance, nor pride can destroy. Love, chosen woman, doesn't get erased that easily. He may try to disguise it, may hide it from you, from others, and even from himself, but deep down his gesture has already given him away. And here I want you to take a stand. Not just as someone who heard a story, but as someone who understands that heaven is confirming something in your life. Declare in the comments, with faith and boldness, I believe in restoration. I receive this sign from God and I take possession of the promise for my love life. Don't write carelessly. Write like someone who takes a stand before God. Lord, I understood the message. I recognize that there's still something alive, and I take possession of the victory that you have already prepared for me. This simple act of declaring will strengthen your faith and mark your spiritual position. Right now, because every word released with faith has power. Chosen woman, when he picked up his phone this morning and started writing that message, something very deep happened inside him. Even though the message wasn't sent, the simple act of writing already shows that there's a battle happening in his heart. It's as if, for a few seconds, feeling had defeated pride. For a few seconds, he gave in to what was stored inside him and allowed himself to think about you with enough intensity to want to speak. And this unexpected movement cannot be ignored. Because what comes from within, what overflows spontaneously, always reveals the truth. He didn't plan it, didn't calculate, didn't think before opening the screen. It was automatic. The heart spoke, and his fingers obeyed. But when reason returned, when fear and insecurity took space, he deleted it. But it doesn't matter that he deleted it. What matters is that he wrote. Those words that never reached you aren't just meaningless phrases. They're signs that you continue to be remembered. They're proof that he still feels something strong enough to almost break the silence. He may have backed down, but he couldn't prevent the desire to get closer from arising. It's as if there was a voice inside him calling all the time, and today, early, that voice spoke louder. The gesture may have been quick, but what it reveals is immense. Because only those who feel right, only those who still carry living emotions within themselves hesitate. And this hesitation shows that love, even suffocated, didn't die. Chosen woman, his heart continues to wage a battle, and every time he thinks of you, every time he tries to contain himself, this struggle intensifies. The unexpected movement that happened today is like a whisper you didn't hear, but that left marks inside him. He knows there's still something, and that's why he can't simply ignore it. This silence, actually, doesn't mean absence. It means resistance. He resists because he feels, he deletes because he desires, he silences because, deep down, he's still trapped by what he lived by your side. This type of attitude shows that, even when everything seems stopped, something is moving. Not to natural eyes, but in the invisible. There are feelings that insist on surviving, and when they manifest in such clear gestures, it's because there's still a story pulsing. It's because there's still something unresolved inside him. And most importantly, this movement didn't come out of nowhere. It was provoked by memories, by emotions, by what remains alive inside the heart. If there was nothing, he wouldn't have stopped to write. If there was no bond, he wouldn't have needed to delete. He tried to hide, but the gesture had already shown the truth. Chosen woman, keep this in your heart. What happened this morning wasn't just about an unsent message. It was about a heart that still speaks, still remembers, still feels. It was about someone who, no matter how much he resists, couldn't prevent your presence from appearing in the middle of his routine. And this is where we enter an even deeper point, because this gesture of writing and deleting wasn't just a passing impulse. It was a spontaneous revelation, a reflection of feelings he tries to hide, but that remain alive. And it's about this revelation that we're going to talk about now. Chosen woman, when he stopped in front of that message and decided to delete it, something very important was revealed. The gesture itself may seem like a retreat, but it's actually a window into his heart. Because no one spends time writing something they don't feel. No one exposes themselves to the risk of almost sending a message if there isn't a flame burning inside. The act of writing and deleting shows that inside him there's a constant battle. He feels the need to get closer, but fear paralyzes him. He wants to break the silence, but pride pushes him back to distance. This oscillation is proof that the feelings haven't disappeared, they're just hidden behind barriers he himself raised. Chosen woman, notice that this gesture wasn't planned. He didn't wake up deciding to look for you. He didn't have a script in mind. What happened was spontaneous, the result of emotions that overflowed without asking permission. This means that, no matter how much he tries to control, there's a space inside him that continues to be occupied by you. And when emotions escape, even in small gestures, it's because the truth can no longer be completely hidden. The heart speaks when the mouth is silent. And that's what happened. He didn't say anything out loud, but his hands betrayed him. His fingers started typing what his mind tries to deny. This contrast between feeling and resisting is the clearest revelation that you're still part of his life. He may not admit it to you, may even try to convince himself otherwise, but gestures speak louder than any justification. And see, chosen woman, the emotional bridge that connects you to him wasn't destroyed. It remains firm, even if he tries to ignore it. Because true feelings don't get erased overnight. When something was planted deeply, it remains. And today's gesture is proof that there's a connection that links him to you, a bridge he can't demolish, no matter how much he wants to. This revelation is important because it shows that silence doesn't mean absence of love. On the contrary, it shows that there's enough love to provoke conflict inside him. If there was nothing, he would be at peace. If he had truly moved on, there would be no reason to hesitate, to write and delete. This hesitation is the cry of a heart that still hasn't been able to free itself from what it feels. Chosen woman, when we look at this detail with spiritual eyes, we understand that God is allowing His heart to reveal itself little by little. Because there are processes that need to be respected. And the fact that He acted this way is already a sign that something is happening. Even without spoken words, the gesture has already shown that He can't erase you from within Himself. This revelation is an answer for you. It's not the end. There's life in this bond, there's feeling in this heart. He may resist, but he can't totally deny it. And this is just another step on the path that God is drawing, a path that, little by little, will show that love is still alive. And that's exactly why we need to move forward to the next point. Because when small signs confirm what's hidden, a greater certainty also emerges. Hope didn't die. And it's about this hope that we're going to talk about now. Chosen woman, there's something you need to keep in your heart. The signs that God allows to appear are never empty. They have purpose. No matter how static everything seems to human eyes, in the invisible there are movements happening. And each detail, however small it may seem, carries with it a message of hope. What happened early today wasn't just any impulse. It was evidence that there's a bond that hasn't been erased. He may even be trying to live as if nothing more existed between you two, but the truth is that his heart continues to reveal cracks. He can't stay completely distant because there's something that insists on calling him back. Chosen woman, notice, when feelings have already died, there's no struggle. When a story truly ends, no resistance remains, no hesitation remains. The silence is absolute. But in his case, that's not what's happening. There is resistance, yes, but resistance only exists because there's still life. He doesn't fight against what he doesn't feel. He doesn't hide what's no longer present. This battle is proof that love is still there. And here's the most important point. Small gestures reveal great truths. What he tries to suffocate is exactly what keeps him connected to you. It's like a small flame, hidden, but that insists on staying lit. No matter how much he tries to smother it, the fire doesn't go out. And you know very well that when God decides to preserve something, nothing and no one can destroy it. Today's detail was like a crack of light entering a dark room. It doesn't brighten everything at once, but it's enough to prove that the sun is still out there. His gesture was that crack. It didn't resolve, didn't complete, but it showed that there's something alive, waiting for the right moment to bloom again. Chosen woman, you need to learn to see beyond the surface. What seems like just an unimportant gesture is, actually, a message from heaven. Don't give up. There's still hope. The bond wasn't torn from his heart, it's just covered by the walls he raised. But God, in the right time, is an expert at tearing down walls. He may have fear, may be confused, may be trapped by pride. But none of that was enough to prevent his heart from reacting. This means that the connection between you two is stronger than any barrier. And every time he remembers you, every time something makes him react, it's like taking another step toward reconciliation, even if unconsciously. Hope isn't in grand declarations, but in small signs. Because it's in them that God shows He's working behind the scenes. You don't need everything to happen at once. You just need to trust that each detail is part of a bigger process. And what you saw today was that, a sign that love is still alive, that the promise still breathes. And if this detail was already so significant, imagine what's to come. Because what God begins, He completes. And if He preserved the flame until now, it's because there's still a story to be written. And it's exactly about this message of motivation and certainty of victory that we're going to talk about in the next part. Chosen woman, now I want you to understand what all of this means for your life. This morning, when He almost sent that message, God allowed you to receive a sign. It doesn't matter that He deleted it. What matters is that the intention was born inside Him. And this intention is sufficient proof that your name still echoes in His heart. You need to see this not just with natural eyes, but with the eyes of faith. Because in the spiritual world, nothing is by chance. If He thought about you, if He took the initiative to write, it's because something much greater is happening behind the scenes. Heaven is moving pieces you can't see, but that are part of God's plan for your story. And I want to remind you of something powerful. You're not forgotten. You're not rejected. You are chosen by God. His promise doesn't expire, doesn't lose validity, doesn't fall apart with time. If He said that restoration would come, then what you're living now is just part of the process. Today's gesture was just a sample, an appetizer of what's still to come. Chosen woman, think about it. How many times did you think it was the end? How many times did you cry believing there was no way out? But even so, God continues to show you that there's life where there seemed to be nothing. That deleted message was like a spark. And you know that it only takes one spark to ignite an entire flame. Don't allow doubt to steal what God is confirming. His silence doesn't mean defeat. The distance doesn't mean abandonment. What you're living is a time of preparation, where God is working in His heart and also in yours. The Lord is molding, adjusting, breaking pride, tearing down walls. And in the right time, reconciliation will happen. True love, chosen woman, always finds a way. It may hide, may try to resist, but it doesn't die. Because love that comes from God is lasting, transforming, and unbreakable. And if today you receive this sign, it's because your story isn't over yet. The best is yet to come. Now it's your turn to take a stand. Not as someone who just waits, but as someone who truly believes. Declare with authority here in the comments, so that heaven and earth know that you believe. I believe in restoration. I take possession of the promise and receive in the name of Jesus the victory in my love life. Write this, chosen woman. Not just as someone who repeats words, but as someone who prophesies over their own life. Because when you declare, you activate God's action. You show that you understood the sign, that you recognize the promise, and that you're ready to live what the Lord has already prepared. What happened early today was just the beginning. The message didn't reach you, but it reached God's heart. And He's already working so that, in the right time, what began in secret will be revealed in victory before everyone. So stand firm in faith. Keep believing. Love didn't die, the promise wasn't forgotten, and the best is yet to come. Chosen woman, if this message spoke to your heart, don't leave without hitting that like button and also subscribe to the channel. This helps this word reach even more women who need to hear that God hasn't forgotten the promise. Also turn on notifications so you don't miss any message of faith and hope.